December 3, 1979. Staff Sergeant Rebecca Martinez was 3 hours into her night shift at Menwith Hill Station in Yorkshire when the impossible happened. At 23:47 Greenwich Mean Time, a signal began transmitting on frequency 0.0003 Hz, a wavelength so massive it stretched from Earth to Jupiter. According to every physics textbook, this frequency shouldn't be able to carry any information at all. Yet the transmission was crystal clear. It repeated the same complex pattern 847 times over exactly 72 minutes before cutting off abruptly at 1:59 a.m. Martinez had been doing signals intelligence for 5 years, monitoring everything from Soviet submarines to deep space radio noise. She'd never encountered anything like this. "I thought our equipment was malfunctioning," quote, Martinez later testified in a classified hearing. The signal was coming through clear as day, but it was mathematically impossible. It's like hearing someone whisper from inside a thunderclap. She immediately contacted Lieutenant Colonel James Patterson, who arrived at the facility within 20 minutes. Patterson's first instinct was to assume Soviet interference. The Cold War was at its peak, and both superpowers were constantly probing each other's communication networks with increasingly sophisticated technology. But as Patterson studied the signal characteristics displayed on the facility's most advanced analysis equipment, a chilling realization set in. The signal's origin point wasn't terrestrial. The wavelength mathematics pointed to a source approximately 4.3 light-years away, the exact distance to Proxima Centauri, our nearest stellar neighbor. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the facility's chief communications engineer, was dragged from her bed at 3 a.m. to conduct an emergency analysis. Her initial findings sent shockwaves through the intelligence community and would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. "The signal is exhibiting quantum coherence across impossible distances," she wrote in her report. The transmission appears to have originated from Proxima Centauri, but it arrived instantaneously rather than after a 4.3-year journey at light speed. This violates everything we know about the fundamental laws of physics. Her secondary finding was even more disturbing. The signal demonstrates precise synchronization with Earth's rotation and orbital mechanics. Whatever intelligence transmitted this possesses real-time knowledge of our planet's exact position and movement through space. They're not just communicating with us, they're tracking us. Within 12 hours of the discovery, the Blackwater transmission had been classified at the highest possible security level, above even nuclear weapons specifications. A joint task force was hastily assembled, combining the NSA's most talented cryptographers, NASA's leading xenobiologists, and carefully selected researchers from the SETI Institute, though the SETI personnel were never informed of the signal's true extraterrestrial origin. The implications were staggering. If the signal was genuine, humanity had just received its first confirmed communication from an alien intelligence. More unsettling still was the mathematical precision of the transmission, suggesting an intelligence with technology so advanced it could manipulate the fundamental forces of physics across interstellar distances. Patterson's final report from that first night contained a prescient observation. Whatever sent this signal possesses capabilities that make our most advanced military technology look like stone tools. If they can transmit instantaneous communications across 4.3 light-years, what else might they be capable of? The question would prove more prophetic than anyone could have imagined. By December 15, 1979, a secret facility had been constructed deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado. The hastily assembled team of specialists, officially designated Project Echo Chamber, represented the finest minds in cryptography, mathematics, and linguistics that the United States government could recruit on short notice. Dr. Michael Chen led the cryptography division. At 34, he was already legendary within NSA circles for breaking the Soviet Union's most sophisticated diplomatic codes. His analytical mind had cracked encryption systems that other experts declared mathematically impossible to solve. Dr. Sarah Williams brought her MIT mathematics background to bear on pattern recognition within the signal. Her doctoral thesis on multidimensional mathematical relationships had earned her recognition as one of the most brilliant theoretical mathematicians of her generation. Dr. James Morrison represented NASA's xenobiology department, though he was told only that he would be analyzing, quote, anomalous deep space radio phenomena of unknown origin. His expertise in theoretical alien communication protocols made him invaluable to the project. Dr. Amanda Foster completed the core team as the project's linguistic specialist. Her background in dead languages and undeciphered writing systems, including work on Linear A and the Rongorongo script, made her uniquely qualified to tackle truly alien communication. The team received unlimited funding and resources, but came with a stark deadline: decode the transmission within 6 months, or face permanent reassignment to classified positions where they could never discuss their work. The pressure was enormous, but so was the potential breakthrough for human civilization. The first significant breakthrough came on January 23, 1980, when Dr. Williams made a startling discovery during her analysis of the signal's mathematical structure. Embedded within what had initially appeared to be random noise were unmistakable mathematical constants: pi calculated to 37 decimal places, the golden ratio, and the first 200 prime numbers in perfect sequence. "It's like they're establishing credentials," Williams noted in her daily report. "They're demonstrating that they understand the same universal mathematical truths that we do. This isn't random cosmic background radiation. This is proof of intelligence, and sophisticated intelligence at that." Dr. Chen immediately recognized the significance of Williams' discovery. The mathematical constants weren't merely greetings or demonstrations of intelligence. They served as decryption keys for the remainder of the transmission. Using pi as the primary algorithm and the prime number sequence as a secondary cipher, Chen began systematically extracting meaningful patterns from the seemingly chaotic portions of the signal. The process was painstakingly slow. Each decoded section revealed new layers of complexity, suggesting that the aliens had constructed their message with multiple levels of encryption to ensure that only a sufficiently advanced civilization could decode the full content. By February 14, 1980, exactly 2 years to the day after a classified incident in Colorado that would later prove connected, the team had successfully decoded approximately 12% of the transmission. What they found defied every expectation about humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. This wasn't a greeting from curious cosmic neighbors. It wasn't a philosophical dissertation about the nature of existence or an invitation to join some galactic federation. The decoded portions revealed something far more urgent and disturbing. The partial translation read, "Third planet, gravitational disturbance, time displacement detected. Cease immediately. Consequences, temporal paradox." Dr. Foster's linguistic analysis of the syntax and structure provided an additional layer of concern. "The grammatical patterns suggest extreme urgency," she noted. "This isn't casual interstellar communication. The tone and structure indicate an emergency transmission. They're not trying to establish diplomatic contact, they're issuing a warning." Colonel Patterson's security clearance was elevated on February 20, 1980, when he was briefed on a previously unknown classified operation, Project Silent Echo. The briefing materials revealed details about an incident that had occurred in the remote Colorado mountains exactly 2 years earlier, an incident that would prove to have devastating implications for the echo chamber investigation. Operation Silent Echo involved the testing of experimental military technology beyond anything in the public scientific understanding. A massive triangular craft, roughly the size of 3 football stadiums, had been constructed using what the classified documents referred to as gravitational displacement technology. The craft could allegedly manipulate spacetime itself, creating localized distortions in gravity and time. During a test flight on February 14, 1978, the experimental craft had experienced what military engineers termed temporal displacement issues. The craft had somehow jumped forward in time by 6 hours and 23 minutes, appearing in the same geographic location but displaced in the timeline. The pilot reported experiencing, quote, temporal echo effects, seeing multiple versions of the same events occurring simultaneously. The connection to the Blackwater transmission was impossible to dismiss as coincidence. The alien signal had begun exactly 647 days after Operation Silent Echo was permanently shut down. The mathematical precision of the timing suggested deliberate correlation rather than random chance. "They were monitoring our experiments," Patterson wrote in his classified report. Somehow, an extraterrestrial intelligence detected our temporal manipulation tests from 4.3 light-years away and has been trying to warn us about the consequences ever since. This revelation led to a profound and disturbing realization. If aliens could detect small-scale temporal experiments conducted in secret military facilities, how long had they been observing human technological development? What other advances in physics and engineering had attracted their attention? With access to the silent echo technical specifications, Dr. Chen made an even more unsettling discovery. Specific portions of the alien transmission corresponded directly to the mathematical equations governing the gravitational displacement technology. The extraterrestrials didn't just know about human temporal experiments. They understood the underlying physics better than the human scientists who had developed the technology. By April 3, 1980, the echo chamber team had successfully decoded 67% of the transmission. The complete warning was far more detailed and terrifying than anyone had anticipated, revealing the true scope of the danger humanity had unknowingly approached. Third planet from star, your gravitational displacement experiments, creating ripples in space-time, temporal echoes detected across multiple timelines, immediate cessation required. Continued experiments will cause cascading paradoxes. Your species not ready for temporal manipulation. We speak from experience. Our civilization nearly destroyed itself. Time is not a river to be dammed. The message continued with highly technical specifications for safely dismantling gravitational displacement technology and warnings about what they termed temporal echo syndrome, a condition where objects, locations, or even people could become unstuck from their proper timeline, existing simultaneously across multiple temporal states. Most disturbing of all was the aliens' reference to their own near destruction. This suggested that the development of time manipulation technology represented a critical evolutionary threshold that many civilizations failed to navigate successfully. On April 15, 1980, the decoded alien warning was presented to an emergency joint session of the Pentagon's highest leadership. Present were the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Director of the NSA, the Secretary of Defense, and 3 senior advisors whose identities remain classified to this day. The briefing lasted 4 hours and included detailed technical analysis of both the alien transmission and the discontinued Silent Echo project. Dr. Chen presented the cryptographic evidence, Dr. Williams explained the mathematical implications, and Dr. Foster provided linguistic context for the urgency embedded in the alien message structure. The military leadership's response was unanimous, but not what the scientific team had expected or hoped for. Rather than heeding the extraterrestrial warning and permanently abandoning temporal manipulation research, the Pentagon authorized an immediate escalation. Operation Temporal Probe. If they can monitor our experiments from 4.3 light-years away in real time, they represent a potential threat to national security that we cannot ignore, argued General Harrison, the operation's primary advocate. We need to understand the full extent of their surveillance capabilities and technological superiority before we can determine appropriate response protocols. Operation Temporal Probe consisted of a series of deliberately small-scale time displacement experiments specifically designed to be detectable by the alien monitoring systems, while remaining below the threshold that had apparently triggered their initial warning. The goal was to provoke another transmission that might reveal additional information about the extraterrestrial intelligence. The echo chamber team unanimously opposed this course of action, arguing that deliberately antagonizing a technologically superior alien civilization violated every principle of rational first contact protocols. Their protests were overruled, and the temporal probe experiments were scheduled to begin immediately. Dr. Vasquez submitted a formal objection that proved prophetic. We are children playing with atomic weapons while being watched by adults. The appropriate response to their warning is gratitude and compliance, not defiance and escalation. The first temporal probe experiment was conducted on May 1, 1980, at a secret facility in Nevada. The test involved creating a brief, localized temporal distortion lasting only 0.3 seconds, barely detectable by human instruments, but apparently sufficient to register on the aliens' monitoring systems. The response was swift and unambiguous. On May 2nd, exactly 12 hours after the temporal probe test, Menwith Hill detected a second transmission on the same impossible frequency as the original Blackwater signal. This message was dramatically different in tone and content, shorter, more urgent, and unmistakably threatening rather than warning. The transmission lasted only 18 minutes, but its implications were clear and terrifying. Dr. Foster's translation sent chills through everyone who read it. Warning ignored, temporal probes detected, escalation protocol activated, quarantine procedures initiating. For the safety of local spacetime, intervention authorized. The aliens were no longer trying to educate or warn humanity. They were preparing to take direct action to prevent what they apparently considered an imminent threat to spacetime stability in the local stellar region. What occurred on May 7, 1980, remained classified at the highest levels for over 4 decades and represents perhaps the most dramatic demonstration of extraterrestrial technological superiority in recorded human history. At exactly 1422 Greenwich Mean Time, every piece of gravitational displacement technology in the United States military inventory simultaneously and completely ceased to function. This wasn't mechanical failure or electrical malfunction. The equipment failed at the quantum level, as if the fundamental physics principles that enabled their operation had been selectively suspended for those specific devices. The phenomenon affected 3 separate military installations across different states: the primary research facility in Nevada, a backup laboratory in Colorado, and a storage depot in New Mexico where deactivated equipment was held. In each location, the gravitational displacement devices simply stopped working at precisely the same moment, despite being hundreds of miles apart and operating on completely independent power and control systems. Dr. Vasquez, who was called in to analyze the failure, described the phenomenon in terms that challenged conventional understanding of physics. The equipment hasn't been damaged or destroyed. Instead, it appears that the quantum field interactions that enabled gravitational manipulation have been specifically nullified. It's as if someone rewrote the laws of physics, but only for our particular technology. Military engineers spent weeks attempting to reactivate the systems, replacing components, rebuilding circuits, and even reconstructing entire units from backup schematics. Nothing worked. The technology that had once manipulated spacetime itself was now as inert as scrap metal. The precision and scope of the intervention left no doubt about its artificial origin. Someone or something, with incomprehensible technological capabilities, had reached across 4.3 light-years of space and performed quantum-level manipulation of human technology in real time, neutralizing it with the casual ease of turning off a light switch. 3 different military installations reported identical phenomena occurring at exactly the same moment. Security footage from all 3 locations showed no signs of physical intrusion or external interference. The equipment simply stopped working, as if an invisible hand had reached into the quantum realm and severed the connections that enabled gravitational manipulation. General Morrison, the project's military overseer, submitted a classified report that captured the profound implications. We are dealing with a level of technological sophistication that makes our most advanced military capabilities appear primitive by comparison. The fact that they could identify, target, and disable specific pieces of equipment across multiple secure facilities simultaneously suggests surveillance and intervention capabilities beyond our current understanding of physics. The intervention was surgical in its precision. No other equipment was affected. Communication systems, computers, power generators, and conventional weapons continued to operate normally. Only the gravitational displacement technology had been targeted, demonstrating that the aliens possessed detailed knowledge of human military capabilities and could distinguish between different types of equipment at the quantum level. Perhaps most unsettling was the realization that the intervention had been accomplished without any detectable energy signature or physical manifestation. No unusual electromagnetic readings, no gravitational anomalies, no visible phenomena of any kind. The technology had simply been turned off by forces operating according to principles that human science couldn't even begin to comprehend. The message was clear: Humanity was being monitored by intelligences with the power to neutralize any terrestrial technology at will, and they were prepared to use that power to prevent what they considered dangerous experimentation with temporal mechanics. The third and final transmission from the Proxima Centauri system arrived on May 15, 1980, exactly 8 days after the intervention that had neutralized humanity's temporal manipulation technology. Unlike the previous urgent warnings, this communication carried a distinctly different tone, calm, measured, and almost parental in its patient authority. The transmission lasted 43 minutes and contained the most complex and detailed information yet received from the extraterrestrial intelligence. Dr. Foster's translation revealed a message that would fundamentally alter humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmic community. Temporal technology neutralized. No permanent damage to your timeline. Your species shows promise. Contact will be reestablished when you achieve ethical space-time manipulation. Estimated time frame: 200, 300 of your years. Until then, develop wisely. You are not alone, but you are not ready. The message continued with what appeared to be a comprehensive primer on ethical technological development, drawing from the aliens' own historical experience with the dangers of advanced physics manipulation. They revealed that their civilization had faced identical choices millennia earlier and had nearly destroyed themselves in the process of learning to use temporal technology responsibly. Our world once stood where yours stands now. Temporal manipulation discovered before wisdom achieved. Result: cascading paradoxes across 17 timelines, billions lost to temporal dissolution. Survivors learned, power without ethics leads to extinction. The transmission included references to other civilizations throughout the galaxy that had failed to navigate this critical evolutionary threshold. Entire species had been erased from existence, not through warfare or natural disaster, but through reckless manipulation of space-time that had unraveled their very existence across multiple dimensional states. However, the aliens also provided hope by describing successful civilizations that had developed temporal technology ethically. These graduated species had apparently formed a loose confederation dedicated to preventing younger civilizations from repeating the same catastrophic mistakes. 12 systems now harbor graduated civilizations, coordinates transmitted for future reference, contact authorized once your species demonstrates ethical mastery. Qualifications: unified planetary government, elimination of warfare, sustainable resource management, temporal technology developed for benefit of all life, not military advantage. The final portion of the message contained the most intriguing revelation: specific coordinates for 12 star systems where successfully graduated civilizations could be found, along with detailed protocols for initiating contact once humanity had proven its readiness. The aliens explained that they would continue monitoring human development, but would not intervene again unless humanity approached the temporal manipulation threshold. Their role was not to guide human civilization, but to prevent it from accidentally destroying itself during the critical transition period. Growth must come from within. External guidance creates dependence. Your species must learn wisdom through experience. We will watch. We will wait. When you are ready, we will know. The transmission concluded with a promise and a warning. Contact would be re-established when humanity achieved ethical technological development, but any return to temporal manipulation experiments before that time would result in more decisive intervention. Within 72 hours of receiving the final alien transmission, Project Echo Chamber was officially terminated under the highest classification protocols in government history. The decision came directly from the White House, with President Carter himself authorizing the complete burial of humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. The reasoning was pragmatic and terrifying in equal measure. If the American public learned that superior alien intelligences were monitoring Earth and had already demonstrated the ability to neutralize military technology at will, the resulting panic could destabilize not just the United States, but global civilization itself. Each team member was immediately reassigned to positions that would prevent any possibility of collaboration or information sharing. Dr. Chen found himself transferred to a remote NSA listening post in Alaska, monitoring Soviet submarine communications in the Bering Sea. Dr. Williams was assigned to NASA's most routine satellite tracking operations, calculating orbital mechanics for weather satellites. Dr. Morrison was sent to Antarctica to study penguin migration patterns, his xenobiology expertise wasted on terrestrial wildlife. Dr. Foster was perhaps treated most harshly, transferred to a linguistics position with the State Department, where she spent the next decade translating mundane diplomatic correspondence between minor nations. Her groundbreaking work in alien communication was buried so deeply that even she was forbidden from referencing it in her own personal notes. None of the team members were informed about their colleagues' reassignments, and each was required to sign expanded non-disclosure agreements that would remain in effect for 45 years, longer than most military secrets and nuclear weapons specifications. The psychological evaluation conducted 6 months after the team's dissolution revealed disturbing anomalies that were never fully explained. Each scientist exhibited signs of selective amnesia regarding specific technical details of their work on echo chamber. They retained general memories of working on a classified communications project, but could not recall mathematical formulas, translation methods, or technical specifications. Dr. Vasquez's medical file contained the most unsettling notation. Patient demonstrates memory gaps consistent with advanced neural intervention of unknown origin. Brain imaging reveals unusual activity patterns in memory centers, suggesting external modification of memory engrams. Recommend continued monitoring and psychological evaluation. The implication was inescapable. Someone or something had selectively edited the memories of Earth's leading scientists to ensure that the technical knowledge gained from the alien transmissions could never be reconstructed or replicated. Whether this was done by government agents using classified psychological techniques or by the aliens themselves remained unclear. Colonel Patterson submitted his final classified report 3 days before his own reassignment to a NATO command post in Iceland. The Blackwater transmission represents the most significant event in human history, yet it must remain the most closely guarded secret. We have learned that we are children in a universe of adults, and that our technological development is being monitored by intelligences beyond our comprehension. The knowledge of our cosmic insignificance could either humble humanity into wisdom or drive our species to desperate and destructive actions. From 1980 to 2024, the Blackwater transmission remained buried deeper than any other government secret in human history. Only 4 people in each presidential administration were briefed on its existence, and most chose to treat it as a legacy issue, to be managed rather than acted upon. The NSA maintained continuous monitoring of the impossible frequency that had carried the original transmissions, but no further communications were detected for over 4 decades. Earth had apparently been placed on a form of cosmic probation, watched but not contacted until humanity proved its readiness for advanced technological development. During these decades of silence, human technology continued advancing at an accelerating pace. The development of quantum computing, advances in theoretical physics, and breakthroughs in understanding space-time began approaching the same thresholds that had originally attracted alien attention in the 1970s. Several times during the intervening years, research projects came dangerously close to recreating the temporal manipulation experiments that had triggered the original intervention. Each time, these projects were quietly shut down through classified government action, their funding redirected to safer research areas. The few officials who knew about Blackwater ensured that humanity's technological development steered away from the most dangerous applications of advanced physics, though they could never explain their reasoning to the affected scientists and engineers. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the only surviving member of the original echo chamber team, willing to speak after declassification, spent 44 years carrying the burden of humanity's greatest secret. In her statement following the 2024 disclosure, she revealed the psychological toll of living with such knowledge. For nearly half a century, I've known that we are not alone, that we are being watched by intelligences so advanced they can manipulate matter across galactic distances like we flip light switches. Every advancement in physics, every breakthrough in quantum mechanics, every step toward the technologies that nearly destroyed us in 1980, I've watched it all with the knowledge of what we're approaching. The decision to declassify the Blackwater transmission in 2024 was not made voluntarily. Civilian radio telescopes had begun detecting signals similar to the original alien communications, and government analysis determined that partial disclosure was preferable to having the story emerge through academic channels without proper context. Dr. Sarah Chen, a physicist at Stanford University who had been studying these civilian detections without knowledge of the classified history, noted disturbing parallels. The signals we're receiving now show increasing complexity and frequency. Whatever intelligence is sending them appears to be responding to current developments in human technology. Since January 2023, civilian radio telescopes at universities worldwide have detected at least 7 transmissions on frequencies previously thought impossible to carry information. These signals have not yet been fully decoded, but their timing corresponds precisely with major breakthroughs in quantum computing and theoretical advances toward practical applications of spacetime manipulation. The current administration has reportedly convened a new task force, designated Echo Chamber 2, to analyze these recent transmissions. Unlike the original team, this group includes ethicists, philosophers, religious leaders, and representatives from allied nations. The shift in approach suggests that lessons have been learned from the isolation and secrecy that characterized the 1980 response. Preliminary analysis of the new signals indicates they may represent a more complex attempt at communication, possibly responding to humanity's technological progress over the past 4 decades. The mathematical structures embedded in these transmissions are far more sophisticated than the original Blackwater signal, suggesting that the alien intelligence has been developing more advanced communication protocols during the years of silence. Dr. Chen's civilian research team at Stanford has identified patterns in the recent signals that suggest multiple sources, raising the possibility that several different extraterrestrial civilizations are now monitoring human development. The implications of this discovery, that Earth may be under observation by an entire community of advanced species, have sent shockwaves through the scientific and intelligence communities. Recent quantum physics experiments at CERN and other facilities have begun approaching the same energy levels and space-time distortion effects that triggered the original alien intervention. If the extraterrestrial monitoring systems are still active, these experiments are certainly being observed with the same concern that led to the 1980 warnings. The question facing human civilization is no longer whether we are alone in the universe, but whether we have learned enough wisdom in the past 4 decades to handle the knowledge of our cosmic neighbors, without repeating the mistakes that nearly led to intervention. Intelligence sources suggest that world leaders are quietly being briefed on the possibility of renewed alien contact within the next decade, as human technology approaches the thresholds that originally attracted extraterrestrial attention. The challenge now is preparing humanity for contact while avoiding the panic and chaos that could result from sudden revelation of our monitored status. The coordinates provided in the 1980 transmission for graduated civilizations remain stored in the most secure government databases, waiting for the day when humanity might be ready to attempt contact with our cosmic neighbors. The Blackwater transmission represents more than humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. It reveals that our species stands at a crucial evolutionary threshold that has determined the fate of countless civilizations throughout the galaxy. The concept of the Great Filter, a critical test that determines whether a civilization survives to become truly spacefaring or destroys itself with its own technology, takes on new meaning when viewed through the lens of the alien warnings. We now know that this filter specifically involves the development of technologies that can manipulate spacetime itself. The aliens who contacted us in 1980 have apparently successfully navigated this threshold, but their warning about nearly destroying themselves in the process suggests it was a close passage. Their intervention may have saved humanity from joining what appears to be a long list of civilizations that failed to develop the wisdom necessary to handle advanced physics safely. The extraterrestrial message was clear about the requirements for graduation, unified planetary government, elimination of warfare, sustainable resource management, and most critically, the development of temporal technology for the benefit of all life rather than military advantage. By these standards, humanity in 2024 remains far from ready for advanced technological capabilities. Yet the increasing frequency of detected alien signals suggests that our cosmic observers believe we are making progress. Each breakthrough in international cooperation, each step toward sustainable technology, each advance in ethical frameworks for scientific development may be bringing us closer to the threshold where contact can be safely reestablished. Current intelligence estimates suggest that a new generation of government officials and scientists is being prepared for the possibility of renewed alien contact within the next 2 decades. Unlike the secretive, military-focused response of 1980, modern preparations include philosophers, ethicists, religious leaders, and international representatives, suggesting a recognition that first contact is too important to be handled by any single nation or institution. The most profound implication of the Blackwater transmission is not that we are being watched, but that we are being evaluated according to criteria we are only beginning to understand. Every major technological development, every step toward or away from global cooperation, every choice between ethical development and military advantage may be influencing when and how contact will be reestablished. As humanity develops artificial intelligence systems of increasing sophistication, advances quantum computing toward practical applications, and edges ever closer to technologies that could manipulate the fundamental forces of reality, the ancient watchers among the stars continue their patient vigil. The question facing our species is not whether contact will come again. The alien message promised it would when we prove ready. The question is whether we will develop the wisdom, cooperation, and ethical framework necessary to handle technologies powerful enough to reshape reality itself. Somewhere in the darkness between Earth and Proxima Centauri, intelligences that have faced the same choices and survived continue to monitor our progress. They have seen the rise and fall of countless worlds, witnessed civilizations achieve transcendence or collapse into temporal paradoxes that erase them from existence entirely. We are not alone. We have never been alone. But we are still being tested. And the final grade will determine whether humanity joins the community of graduated civilizations among the stars, or becomes another cautionary tale in the galaxy's long history of species that reached for godlike power before achieving the wisdom to wield it safely. The Blackwater transmission was just the beginning. The real test is still ahead of us.